Do you ever feel like your brain is an endless pinball machine? I definitely do. Whether I'm stressed or I feel a little anxious or I haven't slept well, sometimes it just feels like my mind is constantly going. But there are a few tried and true grounding techniques that bring me back to the present moment pretty darn quickly, and I'm gonna share them with you. First of all, what are grounding techniques? Well, they're tools that kind of trick your mind into focusing on the present moment as opposed to getting caught up in the past or future thinking, right? So sometimes I find myself lost in rumination over something I said to a friend or worrying about whether my dreams will come true, right? And those thoughts can be really overwhelming at times, especially if they go unchecked. So I'm going to teach you some tools to reel in that fight or flight and bring your brain back into your body. The first technique that I'm going to go over will help you regulate your nervous system by engaging with some sensory stimuli. What does that mean? Well, it means that we're going to use our senses to remind our body that we're not in any real danger. See, that fight or flight response was super helpful for our ancestors when we were worried about running into a wild animal. Not so helpful when that wild animal is actually just tax season. So let's begin. This is an oldie but a goodie. You have 5 senses. Fun fact. What you see, what you hear, what you feel, what you smell, and then what you taste. What you're going to do is you're going to find a comfy spot somewhere that you're not going to fall asleep. My favorite place is to lay on the floor with my knees up. Anytime I was about to go on stage for a performance, this is what I would do. You would find me backstage, laying back on the ground, eyes open, knees up, right? You can do this sitting, you can do this standing. Point being, you want a spot that's comfortable but not so comfy that you're gonna snooze, right? To give a brief rundown of this technique, we are basically going to take 5 things that we see, 4 things that we hear, 3 things that we feel, 2 things that we smell, and 1 thing that we taste, and we are going to pay so much attention to those little details in each of those things. During this exercise, I want you to try not to label things. If you do, no big deal. That's what we do as humans. We try to label things, we put things in boxes so we know what to expect from other things that might fall into those boxes. But I want you to try not to. Easier said than done. So let's start with what we see. 5 things you see. When we talk about the 5 things that we see, we're just going to pick 5 random things to look at. Yeah, make sure that you can see them clearly, so it might be a little closer to you. And you're just going to take a second and notice all you can about that. Really try to find new things about that thing that you're looking at, yeah? Almost as if you're about to draw it from memory in a second. As an example, let's take the basketball that's sitting right next to me. You can't see it. Here's a picture. When I'm doing this exercise, I want to notice all the things, right? I want to notice the color of it. I want to notice the texture of it. I want to notice how those black lines curve along the side of the basketball. I want to notice where the lines end. I want to notice everything, how the sun hits it, or the light in your room. Is it moving at all? Those kind of things. As much detail as you can, because I want you to be able to draw it in your mind afterwards. And I want you to do that for all 5 spots. Take your time. This exercise can take as much time or as little time as you need. We are going to do the same thing we just did, but we're going to tailor it to each sense now. 4 things you hear. So with sound, you can either do this with your eyes closed or your eyes open. I love to do it with my eyes closed because then I kind of feel like a superhero. I can tune into different sounds really, really clearly. Whatever works best for you. I want you to close or open your eyes, and I want you to find 1 sound and just listen to it. Don't label it. Just listen to it. I'm going to label it for you in a second. I hear the rumbling of a car outside of my apartment, but I'm just going to listen to it, and I'm going to try and hear all the little details about it. Is it low? Is it high? Is it vibrating? Is it all of those kind of things, right? Just take a moment. And then you're going to shift to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing that you hear. 3 things you feel. This doesn't need to be something that you're physically touching with your hands, although if they are touching something, that's a great place to start. This could mean where your butt is on the chair, feeling that sensation. Where your socks are on your feet, feeling that sensation. Feeling the hair on my shoulder, kind of tickling me. The wind against my cheek, breathing that cold air in, feeling the warm air come out of my mouth, anything that you're feeling, yeah, physically. And again, you guessed it, pay super close attention to it, find all the details. 2 things you smell. Do your best. This is always the hardest one for me. Maybe do it in a bakery. Might smell great. Might smell awful in a gym. Pick your place. Also, if you've lost your sense of smell due to COVID or something else, do your best, yeah? Something that might help that I often focus on, and it's kind of more on the feeling side, is just breathing in. Yeah, breathing in and smelling the cold air. Yeah, it's not necessarily a smell in and of itself, but you can focus on that and use that as a substitution. 1 thing you taste. You are going to taste whatever is in your mouth right now, whether that is morning breath or a freshly baked chocolate cookie. And that is your sensory grounding technique. Now, if you're short on time, you can do any of these in isolation because it is totally yours to mold and form to what you need best. So glad I was able to explore this with you guys. Don't forget to head on over to part 2 for some more grounding techniques. Subscribe, of course. And also, leave a comment. Let me know if you used it. Let me know if it worked, if it didn't work, or anything you'd like to explore next time.